Hey there guys, and welcome back to another FPV guide video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the brand new GDU O2, which you probably remember was first announced at Interdrone 2017 in Las Vegas, and I had a pretty big video from there going through all the features, but of course that was a pre-production sample on the trade show floor, and there was a lot of people pushing right and left to kind of take a look at it. So I have been begging to get my hands on one of those, and I finally managed. It's worth mentioning, I didn't actually get this from the manufacturer. I got it from Frank at carolinadrones.com, who kindly somehow got his hands on one, and he kindly forwarded it to me to do an unbox and a review. And if you're looking to get hands on one of these things, by all means give Frank a call. He has never guided anybody wrong. So call Frank at carolinadrones.com if you're looking to get into a new small compact drone. That said, let's get straight into the box here. We are going to be looking at it, first of all, take a look at the size of this box. It is really very small. So this is a very compact drone, and that is of course where the entire mainstream is going right now. Both the Mavic products and the Evo products are all compact drones. One interesting thing about the GDU products, GDU got a lot of beating for being a Mavic ripoff in that they folding micro drone, but the truth of the matter is GDU was building a folding drone back in 2015, and you probably see my video. If not, do a quick search here for the Byrd BYRD drone, which had folding arms back in 2015. And interestingly enough, they were developing this shortly thereafter, and they chose, instead of folding arms, they chose sliding arms. So this is probably as much of an uncopy of a Mavic as you can get, while of course at the same time being in the same size format. But I think the size format we're looking at here is really where all consumer drones are going to be going. So having said that, let's crack the box open and see what's inside. The first thing you see right here is up here we have the literature, then we have some tools, and here is of course the drone itself. Let's grab the literature box real quickly. Here it is, and it opens up from this side. When we get inside, we get a quality assurance certificate, and we get stickers. I mean, come on, what is the world without stickers? Also inside here, you find a little hex screwdriver. You can see it has the top up here, so in case you need to make any adjustment, that is included in this literature carriage. And then we have all the different things. Here is the walkthrough of all the different parts included in the box. After sales service manual, whatever that is. Then we have, importantly, a routine maintenance manual. And this is actually very cool that they have bothered to include a maintenance manual, because upkeep of your drone is important, and that's something to be concerned about. So they have a maintenance manual included. Now, more ironically, you have a thick book that is named disclaimer. This many disclaimers seems overkill. Right? And finally, the quick start guide. It's a pretty thick little booklet here that is probably gonna give you a whole lot of information. So we can I'm just gonna flip through it so you know what's in here. How to turn everything on, flight modes, etc., etc., and then it goes on to other languages. So about half of this is an English guide, stepping you through how to use it. I like that. This seems to be well documented. Then we have the little box named accessories. And interestingly, the screwdriver, which is of course also an accessory, was in the other box. So here we go. Teeny little box, and inside it we find, look at that, here is a couple of sets, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is a full set of extra propellers right here, and it's very unlikely you're gonna destroy 4 propellers in one day. So this is a great little setup. I'm happy they included this, because really all shipping products should have spare propellers. there you have it. So, two odd looking cables. This is of course a USB 3.0 and a micro USB. This allows you to use different types of smartphones or tablets with your controller. Let me put these back in. I can't get them in. Alrighty then, let's dig into the rest of the box. Over here on the right side, we have a t-shirt. Let me see. Nope. Here is a nice little sleeve. I'm thinking that will fit the entire kit right here. It's a neoprene sleeve with some kind of a drawer closure on top. It's actually very nicely made. I'm glad they included this because you're probably not going to carry the kit in the box at any time. That said, I want to show you the box. Notice how nice it is. This is a really nice hard cut foam, and the handle on top here is also what locks the lid down. Way down the bottom here we have the charger, and here's the aircraft. So if you had a couple of extra batteries on this side, you could have the charger, a couple of extra batteries, and the aircraft, and it would all travel nicely in this case. So don't throw the case away. Let's pulling out the charger. It comes here, and you can see it has a thing on the end here that connects into the battery. On the other end, we're gonna find somewhere down here. Here's a standard power cable, so that goes in here. You know me, I like to use the little 90-degree corners that I plop on here. That way I can hang it from a plug instead of having a long cable. I wish they would include shorter cables because we really don't need long cables, but here it is, it's included, so you're not gonna need anything extra to get going and start flying. Down here you're also gonna find a teeny little cable. Look at that. And I gotta tell you, it's one of those what were they thinking cables, because here on the charger, this was a battery one, but down here on the side of the charger is a little port. So to charge the controller, you have to open this port, and then you have to push the one end of the cable in and the other end goes to the charger. That's fine, but why was this cable not simply spliced into the main cable so it was permanently attached? The main reason I'm saying that is because when you take this back out, take it from me, getting this little pin back into there is trickier than you would ever believe it to be possible. I've been practicing and it went pretty easily in. So, you know, practice makes master, and I'm finally getting it dialed. But I would rather see that cable being attached to the main one so that there would be no loose cables attached with your entire charging kit. It's not the end of the day, really. I'm just picking on stuff. Let's get to the box itself. The most important part is, of course, the aircraft. So I'm just gonna pick it up here. Here's the battery, nice flat battery with supposedly about 20 minutes of flight time. And on the back here, if you press once, now you can see your remaining power on this battery. So it looks like I have 3.5 bars, which is probably because I was playing with it the other day. I gotta tell you, one of the worst things trying to review a new product is you kind of have to play with it to know how it flies and if it's gonna fall out of the sky, but you're terrified to crash it, because if I crash it, I can't review it other than say, guys, I'm an idiot, I just crashed this thing. Here is the aircraft itself, and it comes up, and it comes with a little foam thingy here, and actually it's kind of cool. Let me show you how it works. So in the shipping, the battery's set right here. And so here is, you can see the pins where it's connected, and this foam is cut so it fits right in here. And now you can store one battery on top of the aircraft without the battery at all being physically connected. That means it's not keeping the aircraft kind of hot, because the moment you connect it physically, you're also pulling energy through circuits in the aircraft, regardless of what aircraft you have. So if you're really not going to fly it tonight, don't leave a battery in, just pop it out halfway or something like this. And this little foam thing, I wouldn't throw it away because I do like that. Here is the aircraft itself. And take a look at it. This is really what's unique about their design, and GDU has been going out of their way to make this work. Down on the bottom here is the controller. Then we see the aircraft, and up on top is the battery. and I did push the battery in place, so it's not coming off now. If you're gonna remove the battery, there's a little push thing on each side, and you push down like this and it comes right off. Putting it back down, pushing forward, and now it's locked in place. And to start the aircraft, you have the little push button here, push in, let go, and then push in and hold for 2-3 seconds, and it starts up. Same procedure to turn it back off. Like I said, one of the really unique things here is how these two fits together. Notice how it's actually clicked together. See, I can let go of the radio and it still stays attached. To get it off, you have to like push it up or down a little bit, and then it releases and it comes out like this. What they did was they cleverly made room right here and also down here so that the control sticks fit right into spaces here next to the gimbal and right up here. So it just goes on, and actually for, I don't know if you can see it, there's 2 little red marks here and there's 2 green marks on the other side. See those 2 little green and 2 green ones there? So those goes together. You have to have the green to green and red to red. When you have those, then the sticks fits in and it all comes together, and there it is. I can carry the bird by the controller or the other way around. What I really like about this is there's no sticks sticking out, and even the gimbal has now been protected because it has the plastic thing on top, but there's also nothing coming from below that's gonna hit into the gimbal. And as you can see, here is the included plastic bag. Everything fits down nicely, and that is really not a bad space. You can easily throw this on top of a backpack, and I love that about this design. There we have it. Look at this. Let's take a closer look at the aircraft. So here's the controller and here's the aircraft. I'm just gonna put this down for a minute, releasing right here, taking it off, and you can see you have a 4,000 milliamp hour 3S battery, which is claimed to give you 20+ minutes of flight time. I always want to be conservative, so I probably wouldn't fly it more than 15 minutes simply because I want to be planning to land long before I'm out of power. Just because if things doesn't go as I plan, I don't want to be up there and realize I'm short of power. So you're never gonna see me deliberately fly as far as batteries are rated. I have tested them sometimes, you know, just kind of hang it up there and wait for it to outer land. That's a different story. But I don't want to be flying it and waiting for it to come down and just land the last 30 seconds. That's a bad plan. So batteries in place. Up front here we have the guard for the gimbal. And the way that comes off is just by pulling down. So I'm just gonna pull down right here and it comes right off. It's really easy to put back on. The first 2-3 times it seems really fidgety, but it is basically a sleeve and the clip that goes over the top. So when you put it back on, you just gotta kind of like get it in, and there you go. And then you kind of like adjust the gimbal and it clicks itself in place. So back off again, we can see the aircraft. Now, here is what is unique about them. Look at how the motors pull right out like that. And you can see a little triangle down there. That is not pulled out, so you need to give it a tuck. And that goes for all the motors. Give them a tuck right here. Coming around like that. And also just like grab the motor with your fingers here and then push on the other side that way. And you hear the little click when it locks in place. So now, when we look at the aircraft, up front here we have some plastic. Got it coming right off. We get the GDU logo. Out here on the side, you can see the 2 obstacle avoidance sensors. That means when you're flying forward, it has forward facing obstacle avoidance to avoid flying into stuff, of course. So moving up to the front here, we have the 3-axis gimbal, and you'll see it right here. It has like a pitch forward here, rotates up on top in the hang, and it pivots this way right here. Out here on the side, you can see the little screws that you need to release to change the props, and they sit on top of the motor assembly here. This part here feels like an alloy of sorts, so it's kind of cold to the touch. It's metal, and that gives you the entire retract system right here. You can see these, they come in and out. Now, if you turn it over on its belly, underneath here, you're gonna see the fan and you can hear it when you fire it up. And also there's vents, probably for exiting air here and here, and cooling ribs down here. So there is a lot of processing going on inside the box. Taking a closer look, you can probably see right there is the drift camera. I call it the drift camera. It's basically the camera that looks down and sees the pattern on the ground and keeps the aircraft from starting to drift. So this will allow you to fly over a carpet indoor with no GPS, and it's still going to be able to hold its position. Now if you turn it over a little more, back here you can see these two ultrasonic transducers, like there's an emitter and a microphone. So it basically sends clicks out that you can sometimes hear, and those clicks measures the altitude. That means when you come into land, it knows when it's hitting the ground, and that also means when it's coming down where the thrust starts behaving differently, it also reduces thrust so you can continue through and land without the aircraft being all over the place. So that's of course the pieces of technology we are totally used to these days, and we wouldn't expect anything less in a 2018 quad. If we look way back here, this is the battery up on top here, and underneath down here you see the O2 logo. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is. That's a micro USB port, and that is both for updating firmware, but more controversially, that is how you access the onboard memory of the O2. Because for some bizarre reason, somebody thought it was a great idea to not have a micro SD card in this bird. And to be honest with you guys, that is one of those, what the beep were they thinking? Because that means in order for me to transfer all my pictures to a laptop, I have to connect it with a USB cable. And more importantly to me, when I'm out flying and I get a really cool shot that I really want to keep, I don't want to take the chance of losing it, I usually pop out the micro SD card and put a fresh one in so that I know I have the great pictures in my pocket. Only way to back up the images on this is connect it to my laptop and start downloading pictures. Seriously guys? What were you thinking? But the story gets worse. It's only PC compatible. For some unexplainable reason, people that's smarter than me decided this product does not have to be Mac compatible. Just let that sink in for a minute. I would say easy estimate of the creative types that flies drones, probably easy 50% of those are Mac users. So before they even start selling these, they have decided we don't want half of the consumer drone market. Like really? Alrighty, I'm a Mac user and I feel slightly offended. I did connect it to a PC laptop up in rendering up in the office, and we used that laptop for rendering and for driving 3D printers. It worked fine, pictures come right up, but my Mac laptop will not see this as is. Moving briskly along, grabbing the controller, let's do a quick walkthrough here. Remember, when you're flying, these two antennas should be out and they should be vertical like a flagpole, not pointing at the aircraft like some people think. They should be straight up, perfectly vertical. The verticaler, the better. While we're talking about the range this aircraft can fly and getting out far, I should bring up that this aircraft is a 1,000-meter rated aircraft. So it's a little over half of a mile. It's not going 2-3 miles out there, but about 1,000 meters. Honestly, 99% of tourist videos is shot within 100 meters away from where you are. You just kind of get up in the air, moves around a little bit, you get the angle you want, take your shot, come back and land. Same thing, a selfie, follow me. It's obviously not that far away, but it is worth, if you are planning to go way far out, then 1,000 meters seems a little short. That's not really a problem, again, for 99% of us. And also keep in mind, FAA in the US requires you to have line of sight with the aircraft. And I guarantee you, you're gonna have a heck of a time seeing this with your bare eye 1,000 meters out. So right there, the physical limitations of your eyes are gonna stop you before you get to that 1,000 meter mark anyway. Let's take a look at the controllers here. We have this little, this is for my iPhone. And remember the two cables we looked at before, right here. So they can be plugged in instead so that you can put different phones here. To put a phone in here, the way it works is you pull it out like this. So the way I do it, I grab my phone and I plug it in here, and then I just kind of put it down like that, and then I just kind of pull it out until it drops in place, and now it's in place. That's like the easiest way to get it in place, and then I kind of adjust it a little bit so it's straight, and that's it. In the phone, you look for the T logo here, which is the GDU logo, and that opens up the app that has some kind of animations and videos talking about how to connect, but basically we are hardwired, and I really like hardwired. I don't like controllers that uses Wi-Fi because there's no physical connection from my phone to this thing, and it slows everything down. I like to get my information on the phone as fast as possible. And it is worth mentioning, you can fly this without a smartphone. You can fly directly with this one, or you can fly the aircraft with just your phone. So if you're just going on a hike and want to travel light and know you're only going to be like 50, 20, 30, 40, 50 meters out, you could just bring your smartphone and fly it directly. So you have options here, and I like that it will work either way. Now up on top here we have all the usual buttons. Just starting over here, we have the one button takeoff, and then of course we have the throttle up and down, and basically it considers itself to be sitting still at neutral. If you pull the throttle down, you go down further. If you push it up, and see when I let go, it just kind of snaps back to the center position. Here is yaw to the right and left, and going over to the other side we have pitch forward, pitch back, roll left, roll right, and down at the bottom here we have return to home. Going up on the top, we have still shot here. Here is the gimbal controller. And over here we have exposure control, and we have video start. So you can start a video recording, or you can start a still picture, or take a still picture. If I could talk, that's what I would say. Take a picture by pushing that button. Over here we have an interesting button. Notice it says red and green. This is sports mode, and they have made a physical button to switch sports modes on and off. So right now it's off. Actually, I haven't tested it. I'm thinking it's on, and this is off. So the green probably means easy flying, and red means pay more attention. Aircraft moves faster. It will move about 30 miles an hour. So not as fast as some, but frankly, 30 miles an hour is more than enough to crash into a wall if you don't pay attention. Turning it around, oh, by the way, the power switch is way up on the corner right here. So I'm just gonna push that in and hold. And now you see it came on down here, and you can see all the lights coming up right here. The nice thing with that is it will also kind of give you information here if you are flying without a smartphone. Of course, it won't show you what the camera is seeing. So if you start messing with the camera angle, you're gonna really, anybody's guess is what you're seeing if you don't have a smartphone in place. Down here, you have the USB plugs. On this side here, this is where the phone comes in. So if you're gonna change the USB plug, you just open it up here, and you can change to one of the other USB plugs. And because it's a USB plug, you can also use a stock USB cable, more or less. Over here, you have the charging cable and another USB. So opening it up here, you find micro USB right there, and can you see that? There you can see the micro USB. And over here is the charging plug, the DC charging right there. That's the one I had such a headache closing up the cover on the charger. I think they just shouldn't have put a rubber cover on at all. Same thing here, you kind of gotta like get the angle, and then it all pushes right in. So now it's plugged up, and you're not gonna get dust and dirt into it, which I would always keep these covered, because on the beach. You don't want sand in the controller. That's basically the system here. Let's take a quick look inside. I have to turn the aircraft on so we can look inside. So to do that, I'm pushing down and then push and hold. You saw it counting up. And now it always takes a while with beeping during the startup, and if you look at the controller here, it is still saying lost. So it doesn't right now have connection to the aircraft. And that actually takes surprisingly long time. Let's go into the smartphone app in the meantime, and you can see it's asking for permission to access location, which of course is good. And we're just gonna go ahead and click on start. Now you have a simple mode up on top, and you have the more advanced mode down at the bottom. So I clicked on this one. And then you kind of go get all your features right here. And you get the drone, the home, the GPS signal, the drone battery, amount of power, drone status. It's gonna turn green and say ready to fly here in a minute. And then you get flight altitude, flight distance, and general settings up on the right corner here. Bottom left corner here, you have auto takeoff. You can see the map, and you have auto return. So just tap in the left corner to pick that up. Click to continue, and gimbal up and down. So you can actually control the gimbal by sliding right here on the screen. In addition to, you can control it up here on the corner. That of course makes more sense than when you are flying with just the phone. Now, continuing down, now we're done with our click options. See, it's green up here, so the aircraft is good to fly. And remember, there's no GPS inside, so I'm not gonna try to fly this inside right now. You can see the camera image here, and when I hit to swivel down, it changes its height here, and I can do the same thing on the screen right here. So that's really cool. I wish it would come up a little higher and just look up a little more to see more clouds sometimes. Down here in the corner, we have the camera settings, which I find, and this was, remember, I picked the advanced settings, and I must say, I find them to be a bit lacking. So we have the option here for white balance, and all of our exposure option is basically exposure compensation plus and minus. For some reason it says -4, -8, -12. I don't know minus what, because it's not 4 stops more or less, it's 4 something. So they're not using photography terminology, which I would of course prefer, that they use some kind of identification of what we're doing that we understand as photographers. Clicking on still pictures here, we get the option to choose what size, if we want to do time lapse, if we want to do multi-shot. And so we have our different options here, and then we select confirm here. I'm just going to click out on the screen, and we're going to go up in the top right corner here and take a quick look. Here we have the stick mode, so we can switch to stick to mode 1 or similar. We can customize the buttons to what we want it to do. We have the aircraft setups here. We can set a range limit, an altitude limit, so we can geofence and say, I don't want to accidentally get more than, say, 250 meters away, which makes perfectly good sense if you're flying in an area and you know there's a sports game over there and you don't want to accidentally fly over the sports game. Now, going further down here, you're gonna see down here of interest to us is the storage, internal storage. You can reset it, and you can choose the resolution for your previews, and you can choose your video resolution right here. So that's your kind of a quick walkthrough of your interface here. You can go back to the regular. What I like is it's really not overly cluttered with a lot of information you don't need. In the photography part though, I would have liked to see more specific features like shutter speed and f-stop as a terminology we understand in photography, and I also really want to see an ISO setting. It has no ISO setting, and you're just kind of trusting the camera to pick the right ISO, and we all know lower ISO means better noise level and also better dynamic range. Let's turn this back off so we don't have to listen to this fan. So push it down, let go, and push and count 1, 2, 3. There, turned off. We got rid of the fan. Now, my final observation about the camera here, or little camera down here. Sharpness wise, the camera is really very, very comparable to most modern smartphones. It's sharp, fairly crisp pictures. What surprised me was I shot a gradient, it's called a step wedge. It basically goes from clear and it gets darker, 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 and every 3 steps on this wedge, you can see the picture of it here, shows 1 stop of exposure. And you'll see we counted out here about 20 steps. So that brings me to about 6.5, let's call it 7 to be generous. So what we're seeing with that step wedge is that we have about 7 steps of dynamic range, or 7 stops of dynamic range in this camera, which is not quite up to 2018 standards. I'm just going to show you another drone similar size right here, and you can see the 2 step wedges next to each other, and that gives you an idea that we would like to see a longer. That doesn't really matter for vacation pictures, but it does matter for you guys out there that want to do photography with your drone, because the dynamic range is your ability to see details in the shadow and also in the highlight. Basically, a camera with a great dynamic range, for me, I expose for the highlight and I pull stuff out of the shadow. So I set the highlight where I want it, even if I want it to be just burning, I set for the highlight and then I pull it out of the shadow later. But you have to know that you can go into the shadows and pull that data out. Well guys, so there you have it. We did a little flying with it. I also did a bit of flying with it, and it really flies quite as we would expect it to. Like I said, it's about a 30 plus miles per hour maximum speed. It's very easy to control. The controller here is easy and comfortable. It's a bit wide. You can see how wide this is. Now it's complaining I turned the aircraft off. I'm just gonna say okay. It's still showing the same frozen picture. It's easy to fly. You can thumb and you can pinch it. And the aircraft itself is easy to recognize when you look at it in the air. So it's easy to see what way it's facing, particularly because the camera is lighter than the rest. So whenever it turns towards you, the camera is easy to recognize. And of course, looking at the screen, you can also see when you can see yourself. While flying, you can do things like follow me, circle around me. It has something it calls rocket mode, which just kind of launches it up really quickly. I honestly prefer to do the rocketing myself because I like to know how I do it. My favorite selfie mode or selfie shot is turn around, face me, and then do full back and full throttle. So the aircraft is going up and pulling away from me. So that works really good. It also has a gesture mode. I'm not a big fan of gesture modes, to be honest with you. I like to control my drone using the controller. Plain and simple. You're not gonna get me into waving at drones to get a picture. Just push the button, it goes click, you know you got a picture. I know, I'm old-fashioned, that's just how I am. So that's about the story of this drone. It's a fairly decent flying drone here, guys. It flies well. I'm under-impressed with the connectivity and the lack of the micro SD, and the camera specs are not as good as some. That doesn't mean this is a bad drone. It's just, it's gonna appeal more to you if you're a PC user and if you're not planning to use it for commercial shoots. Thank you for watching, and make sure you sign up and subscribe because we got more videos coming up. I'm working on another video right now, and then in April we're heading to NAB, the trade show in Las Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters, and we're gonna be checking out everything we find that resembles a drone, and I'm going to be uploading videos every night from NAB in Las Vegas. So make sure you subscribe, click here in the corner where it says subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.